honestly, but we're going to find out whether or not the well-rounded lineup or the aggressive one has got the advantage in this one as we roll into game number 1, Trump versus Kolento.
Oh, this Aggro Shaman, it did some incredible things last time for Trump. Trump played it just so well. It was definitely like a testament to his improvement over the years, and it showed the strength and the reach of the deck if you play it perfectly, and I think he did last time. As for the Paladin, Secret Paladin kind of did what it does best and just kind of snowball out of control. And he didn't even have he didn't have a mysterious challenger as well. And I think Trump was in a similar situation as well, where they didn't even need the challengers to win the game, and just shows how powerful that deck is.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the true silver champion on 4 last match was what really locked it up for him. I mean, the fact that he got so much value out of it, took out 2 strong minions, just put a lot of pressure on Amaz to really get things rolling. And you see, Kolento's is actually built a little bit differently too. I mean, he does have Zombie Chow in here instead of Secret Keeper, just wants the value early on, knows it's going to be fighting for board a lot. So, the Secret Keeper oftentimes just going to die in the first couple of turns anyway. Why not just get a 2-3 body? The life gain oftentimes can be pretty irrelevant. And even Divine Favor in this build, really targeting those control decks, stuff like Freeze Mage, stuff like Handlock, which can give you big problems. You pick up 4 or 5 extra cards. Maybe they're not such a big problem anymore, but in this matchup, I think he's going to be hard-pressed to really find the value he needs. And 2 mysterious challengers early, this is really going to restrict his options.
Yeah, he needs that early game pressure, needs that muster for battle, maybe that true silver, shredders. He just needs to put as much pressure on board, so Trump has to use his spells to kind of make sure he doesn't get taken out. And we did see a play from Trump where he had to lava burst a minion in the previous game, and it was such a good play from him, because if he hadn't have done that, he probably wouldn't have went on to win against Life Coach. But that was a completely different Paladin he was playing against. The Secret Paladin's a whole different animal altogether, and it's a deck that can just snowball so heavily at control if it isn't dealt with.
Yeah, it's definitely for sure. Tunnel Trog always a threat. I'm going to recognize that early, and wow, it's an interesting draw at this point. I mean, Trump really with all the options here. I mean, he could play this defensively, he could play this aggressively. I could definitely see this Trog trading in that Knife Juggler. It's such a big threat right now, and Kolento, he's going to be finding some trouble with this play. 2/2/3s to contest his 2/2 at the moment. No Knife Juggler and no 3-drop yet.
Yeah, and a beautiful lockout on the board from there, because now the Zombie Chow just doesn't do anything, and developing a token is very slow. He does get the secret as well, which is not too bad, and this Zombie Chow is going to have to hold out, and even with 1 mana, he'll still be able to play Finley. He'll change his hero power.
Yeah, I mean, picking the Avenge does maybe give Kolento a chance to draw a Divine Favor, but when this fight for the board is happening, I can tell you, much rather have development at this point, and Trump really weighing the consequences of running into an Avenge right here. He's going to see what hero power he picks up. Maybe this can change a thing or two about his decision.
Well, turn 4 will become very important for Trump, because he wants to ideally play Doomhammer on 5, so he can't overload himself unless he draws an Earthshock. He goes for the Druid hero power, which is pretty good against Paladin, I guess. Be able to clear up muster tokens. He gains a bit of health as well. It also gives him an option to be aggressive. So, and that's a great pickup for Kolento as well, getting that muster and starting to put some pressure on board.
Yeah, I mean, now it's a point of, can Trump afford to really be making trades in the spot? That's something he's going to have to heavily consider is looking at his hand right now. Is he just in the driver's seat to really make his big push and hope Kolento doesn't really have the answers? It is just a bunch of 1-runs right now, and you do have a 2/3 Taunton board plus a 1/3. If your opponent wants to race you, I mean, that's the situation Shaman often wants to be in, is the race situation. And it looks like that's where Trump is headed as well. That damage is going straight upstairs, boys.
Face is the place for this deck for sure, and I like this. He's taking advantage of having that taunt, only having the 1/1s to really fear at this point. Consecrates a decent pickup here. You'll be able to start cleaning up this board.
That's more than a decent pickup. That is about the best draw left in Kolento's deck. I mean, 8 points of damage effectively picked up from this. I'm sorry, 7 points of damage clears out the Divine Shield. Even left with a 1/1 on board, but Trump's got Doomhammer on turn 5 right now. That second Doomhammer is a brick at the moment. We are never going to see 8 turns in this game left from this point, but he knows that this is largely going to be 16 uncontested damage, and he's even got the Druid hero power to go with this, so he can start converting this Doomhammer into 3 power attacks as well.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's true. That's frightening stuff.
Coghammer gets picked up from Kolento, though. Okay, so Noble Sacrifice is going to eat 3 of this damage. The Cog Hammer could potentially eat more. This is really going to be a matter of whether or not Trump can draw the burn spells to end this game. And pretty much right now.
He does have Lava Burst. That's all he has at the moment. It's not quite enough. He needs to find a Crackle, maybe a Lightning Bolt to go with that. Rock Biter would have been not quite enough at the moment. Well, Rock Biter would have been pretty decent at the moment, I suppose, if he was afraid of a taunt. But he obviously doesn't know the Cog Hammer is there. And that is one of the best draws Kolento could have got, especially if it hits the 6/6. I wonder if he's running Competitive Spirit or Repentance. There's not a full Christmas tree there. And Competitive Spirit will definitely be better in this situation, as it'll let Kolento put some pressure on his health.
And Trump really going to take his time and think about how this turn pans out. What's the best way to do it?
Can you give him the Avenge power at this point?
I mean, that's something to consider too. I mean, that is one of the ways he can get raced is if, say this Competitive Spirit, his opponent's going to get 3/2. They're going to get an extra 3 power here. They're going to take 2 damage to turn with no sacrifice. He thinks he can, so
just has to go for it. High risk, high reward. This deck, usually has to be. You have to play it that way. You can't play too conservatively sometimes, especially if you think you're going to be on the clock. And if this is Competitive Spirit, it's only going to take 2 turns for Kolento to defeat him. If he doesn't start dealing with the board, which he doesn't want to. That's not what the agenda of this deck is. It's very much like Face Hunter in that respect, but it just has spells to go with it.
Yeah, Trump relying on that Doom Hammer to get this job done, but that Cog Hammer draw is really going to shut things out.
And it is Comp Spirit as well. That is very deadly for Trump. And like you said, Cog Hammer is going to play a very vital role. And a Noble Sack as well. That is excellent draw for Kolento.
I'd say if Trump doesn't draw basically Lava Burst or Crackle, he might have just been locked out of this game.
He's not overloaded as well for next turn, so he does have the mana to do it. So it will definitely come down to a spell, especially if unless Kolento goes for like a greedy mysterious challenger here, but he must recognize on 10 health and a Doom Hammer staring at him, he shouldn't play greedy here. He should play as defensive as he can.
Yeah, I think something he's thinking about too is trading in the 3/2 and then playing Cog Hammer, maybe even better, just to get a higher average health minion. But he's just gonna let it rip and falls on the 3/2. I think it's pretty inconsequential at the moment. I mean, it really comes down to this draw. Kolento has Trump dead next turn, but Trump might have Kolento dead this turn. Oh. Wow, what a situation we found ourselves in. Secret Paladin versus Aggro Shaman.
Lava Shock's not quite... Well, no, it's not going to be enough, is it? You can do 6 damage with a hero power, so...
Well, actually, it might be enough. It might be. If he attacks with the Argent Horse Rider, and then he hero powers up and he Lava Shocks. That's 3. No, it's only 8 points damage he's got.
Yeah, he has a Noble Sacrifice and a Divine Shield, and then the minions base health to go through. So he has like 3 minions almost to go through before he can start dealing any damage. And Noble Sac, oh man, that was
really
such a great
that
pick.
to not be Noble Sacrifice. Yeah, I mean, it looks like that's it.
Kolento getting some perfect draws there in that game. The Consecrate, then find the Cog Hammer for later. He already had the challenges sitting there, and then he found the Noble Sack, which it was just brilliant because that pretty much saved him here, I think.
Yeah, I don't see a way out of this. It's pretty tough to do. Yeah, it's only 8 points of damage available. Wow, Kolento, the last minute, going to lock this game up with just a little bit of disruption. Trump drawing the brick with the Doom Hammer maybe was the difference in this game.
Yeah, 2 Doom Hammers, something you don't want to see, because like you said, you're never going to have enough turns to use 2 Doom Hammers, and Kolento takes a 1-0 lead with some excellent draws. But, Trump was close. He wasn't far from finishing it off, but that Cog Hammer and the Noble Sacrifice was enough to stop him.
Yeah, kind of showing you the power of this Shaman deck too. I mean, look at the sequence of draws that Kolento needed to have to fend off this pressure. I mean, he needed Cog Hammer to really fight against this. I mean, Sludge Belcher I think would have done it too. But not only that, but Trump also drew a completely dead card with the Doom Hammer. Never had a chance to utilize that, just working completely off one less draw. It's pretty rare. I think that deck falls in that situation. This isn't a mech variation, so it's not going to run Power Maces. It doesn't have that dead draw in there, but just unfortunate timing for Trump really here.
And ultimately, Knife Juggler was a dead draw for him as well. He never got to use it. And Trump's actually going to switch it up here. He doesn't feel like the Aggro Shaman was quite enough there, and switches to his Demon Zoo. And he does hit a good matchup here. Mid-range Paladin can really struggle with the early game pressure. But double Innovate Coin, find that Dr. Boom, and Kolento could get a really good early start.
turn 1 Abusive Sergeant to turn 2 Iron Begalas and the start that Trump's looking for either, so.
Not bad for Kolento with those double innovates so far.
It's not bad, but it's not really good either. I mean, he still needs some gas behind this. You talk about having like that draws in deck. Say he picks up another Savage Roar, another Force Nature. Even Darnassus Aspirin's not looking that good right now, but again, he's going to be happy to see Trump likely life tap on turn 2 here.
Yeah, it looked like a life tap's going to come down. And there was a situation in the I-League yesterday when Sword, one of the most strongest players in China at the moment, he decided to keep double Innovate Wild Growth in his opening hand, and then he drew 6 spells back to back and just couldn't play them, so definitely getting punished. And look at this, he's got Savage Roar, Swipe, Wrath, double Innovate. Big Game Hunter not going to be able to do much. You might have to consider playing it for tempo at some point if he doesn't draw any minions.
Yeah, but even at this point, Trump does have access to Power Overwhelming and Silence on the own minion.
Oh, there we go.
So, I mean, still potential for him to start picking up this game and running away with it.
This is deja vu for me. Kolento is, I'm pretty sure, played Innovate Druidiclaw 3 times in this tournament alone.
Well, it takes that to be a champion sometimes. You need to
utilize
Innovate. I mean, utilizing Innovate definitely is a big part of Druid.
Yeah, it is. Cheating out that 4/6 Amaz. I remember Amaz had the Hunter's Mark to deal with it, but Power Overwhelming is just as, almost as good. Going to be able to deal with this big taunt. Only minion Kolento had access to. Of course, Trump doesn't know this, but for Kolento, that must be a bit frustrating. He finally finds that minion, and then Trump says, I can deal with it, it's fine.
Yep. Two options for Trump here. He could choose to drop the Haunted Creeper, but could also silence on his in-game boss. Keep it around as a silence 2/4. That's a possibility. Maybe he wants it silence to push through a little bit later.
That's
the Haunted Creeper's a little bit better versus Swipe, but it's also a little less power on the board, so... it's this situation where he wants to, kind of force Kolento to have the right cards right here and now.
They can either have a... Yeah, I think I like Haunted Creeper just because it plays around Swipe, but like you said, if you want to put more pressure on Kolento here, you might want to just say, look, you need something to deal with this, and if you don't have it, I'm just going to run away. But he does go for the safe play. But he definitely considered it, and that's Trump, trying to explore all his angles as a player, and has definitely shown his strength here.
Lento's, he's just going to pick up a card here. He needs some action in his hand with that Wild Growth pickup. No minion action. He's got to get something rolling.
It's also important to note that these players are probably not very far from each other. They're both in the UK right now. So they may be only just a couple of seats down from each other playing in this tournament. Just giving each other evils across.
Oh,
that was
2 rolling implosion. Gosh, I mean, it feels like it's always 2. Like every time I play this card, I'm like, oh, I rolled a 2. Yeah, cool.
That's fine. That's acceptable. I'm used to it by now.
I just know my implosions are going to be for 2. And that's why I stopped playing it.
Oh, so he does pick up the Dr. Boom. He doesn't go for the swipe here. I don't think he needs to. He's at 30 health. He can wait until Trump commits something a bit more bulky to the board, and then he can swipe that. But he does find a Dr. Boom. I can't quite see his mana. Is he on 7 mana? Yeah, he's going 7 mana next turn, so...
7, but that's a great reload from Trump here to get minions on board that are fairly resilient against swipe and start pecking away. Say he finds himself with a couple demons on board and rolls in that Mal'Ganis turn, that could really turn things around.
Some card draw there for Kolento as well. Dr. Boom just looks really tempting, but if he swipes, he can clear everything but maybe 1 imp from the in-game boss. But do you want to just get stuff on board at 27 health? I think you do. And he agrees.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty tough to pass up Dr. Boom in this spot. At 27, you're fairly safe from any burst damage. Just feels like the right play. He's going to feel the same way about his Dr. Boom.
Trump's going to be like, I match your boom, my boom. But can he... How much damage does he have? So, he can clear a Dr. Boom with his board, and then say, I have a Dr. Boom too. Now you deal with it. But Kolento's sitting on a big game hunter, so he's ready. He's got the dwarf he needs to do the job, to kill the Dr. Boom. That's pretty much what Big Game Hunter's job has been ever since GVG. His main job, killing giants and killing giant goblins, I guess. It's quite a big guy, Dr. Boom.
It's basically there because of Dr. Boom. The fact that it's 7 power and so prominently played, you very often have a strong target with it. It's meant to turn Dr. Boom into a liability.
I mean, the Boombots do make up for the tempo loss from BGH, but still, losing a 7/7 for 3 mana just feels so bad.
Doesn't get the extra value from the Imp King boss too, because his board is completely filled. This is looking like an okay turn for Kolento.
So he has Dr. Boom swipe, eh?
Oh, the perfect answer, eh?
Big game
let me just kill your whole board.
with 2 cards, and then 14 health as well, which is a dangerous place for Trump to be in. Void Caller, oh man, this is looking rough. So he kind of needs 2 juggles here to clear out the Dr. Boom. He doesn't have any direct removal.
Trump doesn't actually just kill the big game hunter here outright. He's just dead.
Yep, Savage Roar's going to be enough. And this is like a complete switch. Trump was taking really fast games against Life Coach, and now Kolento's taking really fast games against Trump. It's just kind of flipped on him.
Yeah, I mean that's part of the problem with playing aggressive decks too is that a minor amount of disruption or stumbling for a turn or two can really throw your game off, and that's exactly what we've seen. I mean, Trump drew the brick in game number 1, while Kolento also had a disruption set up, and in this game, Warlock doesn't want to life tap on turn 2 when it has Flame Imps and Dark Peddlers and Knife Jugglers and stuff in its deck. Wants to get on the ground running. He missed that turn 2, and that completely lopsided the game and put him in a defensive position for a long time.
And even though Kolento had a very slow hand, it didn't matter as much to him as it did to Trump, because like you said, Trump needed that early pressure. He needed to just have a lot of bodies on the board where the Druid's just like, oh, I haven't got Wraths, or I haven't got minions to fight for this anymore, and just put on relentless pressure. And he never got that in the end. And now Kolento's 2-0 up, but he has the Mally Lock left, and Maz had the Mally Lock left in his 2-0 situation. So Kolento's probably hoping he doesn't fall short like Maz did in the previous game.
I mean, I think it's definitely something that the aggressive lineup is targeted at too, is, definitely targeted at Druid, but also at Malagos Lock. You can put a ton of pressure on this deck and really just force them to have the right heals and the right taunts at basically every step of the way, should you get some decent draws with it. And I think, Trump's not out of this one just yet. I mean, you take a look at the 2-0 lead, it definitely feels bad, but if there's a lineup that is capable of turning this back around, it's an aggressive lineup versus a control deck.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he can punish, like you said, the slower plays, force them to have specific answers to specific situations, and Kolento will most likely always be the one who's under pressure unless he stabilizes kind of the mid to late game. But Trump's not going to want to give him an opportunity to do that. Do you think he'll keep Doomhammer here?
It's definitely a card I think that provides you a lot of longevity, but I think it's probably worth more just to force your opponent into an early situation. I mean,
Knife Juggler's great.
I mean, we saw the dangers of keeping a Doomhammer, drawing 2 Doomhammers. That's definitely a threat that's always there, but it's going to consider, did he just keep the whole hand?
I think he did. He wants our Doomhammer. And Doomhammer...
Oh my. Ooh, that's a great start for this deck, by the way. Turn 1 Totem Golem might be one of the most threatening things for Malagos Lock to deal with. It does not have a straight-up answer to this card other than Soulfire.
It needs either Soulfire or it needs Dark Bomb Mortal Coil, so it needs very specific answers. And he does have a Dark Bomb in his hand, but it's not going to be enough. And even the 1-mana Overload probably won't matter too much, because the Abusive Sergeant can come down next turn, develop another body, and put more pressure on the life.
Yeah, and Hellfire, it's a very dangerous board sweep versus this deck. A lot of burn backs behind these early game minions. And Trump, he's drawn the minions in his opening hand. Kolento realizes he's got to get going. He's got to get going now. He Dark Bombs right away, wasting no time getting this pressure rolling to try to clear this board up.
He's thinking probably, am I ever going to have an opportunity to Dark Bomb again from turn 3 onwards? Because I want to play Imp Boss, I want to play Twilight Drake. He wants to play stuff, so he's kind of doing a preemptive Dark Bomb now. So now his Imp Boss can challenge it, but Trump, he has a lot of different ways. I mean, Imp Boss is a bit annoying for him because of the 1/1 minions can challenge everything he has on board right now. So Imp Boss is probably the best answer he has for a board situation right now.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. This deck it's for all intents and purposes, this is a burn deck. Trump wants to get damage, and he wants to get damage now. There's no chance he's really trading in this spot. If he's not forced to do something, this damage is going straight for the dome and hoping that he's got the burn spells to finish it off. And keeping the Doomhammer might have actually been a brilliant play in this spot. Once again, Trump really utilizing this card to its full potential. We're 2 turns away still, but right now, he even picks up a Rockbiter with it. I mean, this game could be over in the next turn or 2.
Yeah, I mean, Doomhammer has so much influence on finishing off the opponent in this deck. And at 15 health already, no fear of Molten Giants. The only fear he has is Antique Healbot. And so far, Kolento doesn't have it.
Yeah, I mean, these Dark Peddlers are going to have to be on point if he wants to pick up this game. Power Overwhelming, Zombie Chow, Soulfire. I mean, these are all three good options, but does he have the time to utilize these?
I think Soulfire might be what he'll consider. Oh, Overwhelm. Oh, he can Overwhelm on the 1/1 to deal with the... And he doesn't have to throw any discard anything either. Mortal Coil as well, so he's kind of looking for ways to just deal with these minions.
7 damage he's taking, though.
And the Trog stays alive.
Yeah, this is disaster for Kolento. This is the last spot he wanted to be in, but he's going to need a way to just keep his health total protected right now, or this game is over.
Oh, so much damage. And this is the beauty of Aggro Shaman. It just does relentless pressure on you if it gets going from the start, and it can be unbearable at times. It can be some classes just can't deal with it, and he does.
Trump even going to choose to protect the Trog here, realizes that this is likely a minion Kolento can't kill right now. He's seen a Dark Bomb, he's seen a Hellfire, he hasn't seen Twilight Guardian. This guy could just be even more damage in the long run.
I like that. I like clearing the minions. And Trump shown his experience, but also the work he's done with this deck, and he takes the game here. Kolento doesn't even want to see if he has Rockfire. He doesn't feel confident enough going forward, and a quick win for Trump. This may be the momentum Trump needs to take the series.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with this conceit here either. I mean, Trump did need the extra damage that turn to end it, but the writing is really on the wall. There's no reason to sit there and lose that game and maybe get in a poor mindset. I mean, a lot of times that aggro shaman deck can be very frustrating to play against, where you feel like you're so close to turning the corner, but they just have the right card turn after turn. But the deck has so much linear play. I mean, basically every single card of the deck's going to do the same thing. It's just damage directed at the dome. So if you can't keep that under control very early on, it's going to slip away. I agree with that conceit. Don't sit there and lose the game. Keep a good mindset. Let's just roll on to the next one and hope it works out.
Yeah, and Kolento looks unfazed. He's just like, yeah, whatever. I only need one game. I need one good draw with this deck that you can't deal with, and I'm going to close it out. And the Warlock Zoo will probably be one of the decks that could struggle against the Mali lot because of all the taunts it has, and because of the high health minions that could just stay on the board and just keep trading.
Yeah, this is a matchup where the Zoo often needs its resilient minions to keep in this game. There's just so much minion pressure. There's so much threat of AoE. The Ruby and Eggs, Haunted Creepers, all great in this matchup. Void Caller is a fantastic minion in this deck to play against this style. You know, those are really the ones he's going to need. And Power Overwhelming gets picked up early too, so it can even threaten the minion battle. It looks like Trump's got the kind of hand that maybe could take this game.
Yeah, that's a very strong hand. And finding the Power Overwhelming is super important because Twilight Drakes and Guardians are going to be the things he wants to punch through. And Overwhelming is the key card, or one of the key cards of him punching through. And then Ruby and Egg as well with an Argus 2 follow-up or an out Overwhelming. Such a strong board.
Fantastic draw for Trump at this point. I mean, really, Void Caller is the only thing that's missing from this hand.
And the one thing the Ruby and Eggs does provide as well, if he does an Overwhelming, is a bit of insurance against stuff like Hellfire, because he'll have to silence it first, or he'll have to deal with a 4/4 after. And most cases, when a Hellfire comes down, and it's going to come down early against a Warlock Zoo, the 4/4 just might be a bit too much for you to be to deal with as the Mali Lock.
Yeah, I mean, there is a limited amount of removal in this deck. You do need to, at some point with Malagos Lock, you need to get control of the board. And when your opponent's got all these resilient threats, and like you said, that insurance versus AoE, it can be very difficult to get control of that board. I mean, he's got a great Twilight Drake turn next turn, but Trump is just going to be able to continue to fortify this board position and keep pushing. You know, again, you said it last game, he's not fearing Molten Giants. The only thing he's fearing is losing control of that board state.
Yeah, it's all about the board for Zoo, and especially in this matchup. No Molten Giants, like you said, so he can put as much pressure on the health as he wants, but, you know, Trump will definitely fight for board when he can. What can Kolento do here? I guess he's got Ink Gambos, which is a nice sticky body to kind of contest some of these minions, but the problem is, if he wants the Hellfire in the future, I mean, Ink Gambos is not too bad for that, actually, a Hellfire on your own side. It's just a 1/3, just kind of locking him out, dealing with anything else that can be played.
Yeah, you know, initially it looked like it was a Twilight Drake turn, but looking at Imgang Boss, the way it can affect his curve really makes a big difference. But there's always the risk of Iron Beak Owl, but I think it's a risk he might have to take right now. I mean, this guy's going to clear a lot of stuff if Trump doesn't have basically perfect at this point.
And he challenges the 1/3. That's super important. I kind of missed the coin there, but yeah, I actually prefer this. It is super weak to Owl, but you've got to consider, I need to kill this 1/3 before I start touching anything else. And now he gets another opportunity to find another Power Overwhelming, or maybe a Soulfire to further do. Oh, a Morcoil, that's really good as well.
Yeah, this is the setup that Kolento was looking for, though. Is going to Hellfire this turn and then run over that 4/4 body, I imagine. I mean, this is probably the swing in the game he needed to really seize control of this one.
And whereas we were told the egg does offer a bit of insurance,
Wow.
oh, he's not going for it.
Yeah, just isn't going to fear the board position right now. Thinks he's just got enough value to fight for this, which I don't disagree with that either. I mean, you definitely have the right tools, I think, to keep dismantling this board position. Risking the extra health, maybe it's just not worth it right now.
He's not too low at the moment, and all he's dealing with is 2/2s and 2 attack and 1 attack minions, and he can just develop his kind of own board and contest it, and then wait for a better moment of Hellfire. I do like Kolento being patient, but I also do like the idea of Hellfiring as well, because like you said, you clear up the 4/4, you only have to deal with a couple of 1/1s, but maybe he's thinking about Argus as well. I mean, Argus could come down, and you've got 2/2s with taunts, and then you're kind of in the same situation. A bit of patience here will go a long way for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely always something that seems to make the great players is the patience that they exercise in these situations. They don't get too quick with anything. They're not gonna rush anything. They don't need to. And so a lot of foresight here, I think, from Kolento. He believes that this position is going to pan out a lot better for him in the future. Say Trump decides to start doing some trading and this board gets cleaned up, Hellfire can completely wipe out the board instead of him having to invest a lot into clearing it.
Yeah, he's just challenging Trump's board with his own board. And sitting on a 4/7 as well. At the moment, he does have the stronger board state, and he knows that the Warlock needs very specific cards from this deck to do a lot of bursts. I mean, we did see Trump have 3 power overwhelmings in the previous game, but it's not very likely that situation's going to come up again. That was a very crazy scenario, but overall, now Trump's in the board fighting mode. He needs to fight back the board because this is how he wins with this deck. This is his only win condition. Oh, Argus coming down here. Nice 2/3/3 bodies.
It's pretty good for him.
So now Hellfire does look pretty juicy.
Well, it does, but he doesn't have really the complement to go with it. I mean, it's still going to leave the 4/1 behind, leave behind 2 1/1s.
Yeah. Oh, he needs the Mortal Coil for sure. Oh,
yeah.
Blackwing Corruptor is not too terrible as well. I mean, you can play Blackwing Corruptor, clear the 2/3, clear the 3/1 with the 2/2, and then he has a 5/4 sitting there. Soulfire maybe. What do you like here?
Well, it's really tough to say. I mean, once again, he's shown that he's willing to be very patient with it. So I imagine Blackwing Corruptor is, where his head is right now. It's a matter of whether or not he can just stave off the damage. Which one's the best route to do that. And if his plan is to be patient, it looks like Blackwing Corruptor can just help fortify that board position. But he's going to find himself in a very similar situation. Trump's going to have a lot of minions down. He's going to be attacking. Kolento doesn't really have a defensive tool to dictate these attacks at the moment.
What about Imp Gang? I was thinking maybe Imp Gang Boss, South Sea Soulfire. Soulfire the 4/4, but maybe he wants that Forest to kind of stick around. I mean, losing a Forest, maybe he's looking, because he's playing so slow, he's looking to get some Forest on value later as well. The tap going to come down here. Ooh, Mal'Ganis, but no callers available to him right now.
I think the big one here is Trump going to be willing to trade with this 5/4? It looks like, he's going for big juggles.
Going for the rolling the dice here. Let's see if these knives will allow a Mortal Coil.
I mean, this is the kind of situation, Kolento draws. Yeah, I think I like playing the Void Caller first. I'm sorry,
see
the Void
the
Walker first. Yeah, because this is really the super important one, I'd say. Yeah, this is gonna decide his attack. And now, it looks so juicy. You need 1 juggle to end this. Yep.
Oh, that
even
lines
gets the
up
Mortal
perfectly.
Coil too. Yep. I think he wants the extra damage there. Wants to cycle the Mortal Coil in this spot.
And an egg. So an egg, like we were saying earlier, it's nice insurance on board for later on. So a good play maybe coming up with that. So the Hellfire is still sitting in hand. I mean, look how far back it is in hand. He's kept hold of that for a long time. Still doesn't have a Mortal Coil to go with it to clear up that 4/1 after the Hellfire.
To note, Kolento kept that Hellfire in his opening hand as well. He's been searching for a spot to use it the entire game and has yet to be able to do so, to his liking anyway.
Well, he seems like it at this point. Oh, no, he's hesitating. He's thinking, can't deal with the 4/1. That's the real problem here.
Look at Kolento's face. It's very rare that you see him have any facial expression whatsoever. The fact that, his lips are pursed in this spot, he knows it's gross. He has to Soulfire. He cannot risk a single point of damage and then Doomguard.
He clears the board, gets a 2-1 of his own, which is going to be able to do something at least. But do you think Egg of Doomguard is going to be it here? Keep the pressure on?
It's tough to say. I mean, there's still options open. You pick up a 1-drop. Some good things can happen with this board position, but I don't. How good is Mal'Ganis in this matchup too? I mean, your opponent's got 2 copies of Big Game Hunter. Sea Giant.
Hello.
That is not on Kel'Thuzad's approved card list.
Oh man, Sea Giant is interesting because it kind of bounces in and out of Zoo in its history. I think Reynard was playing a deck when League started getting some of his wings, where it was basically like Echo and Ooze, and it was that 1/1 that busts to a 5/5, and he had like 2 Sea Giants. But yeah, you do see Sea Giants sneak in every now and then in these players' lists.
This is actually a pretty good benefit for Kolento here. I mean, he's at 12, but Trump really didn't do anything on turn 7. He life tapped and played into Rubian Egg. He knows that something powerful has to be following this, and so he's going to be patient in setting this turn up. I mean, maybe this is just an Emperor Thorson turn, but it could very easily just be one where you get 2 minions on board to just continue to try to contest what's going on. I mean, I'm not really sure what to make of this situation for Kolento. It looks good for him, but what exactly are Trump's cards right now?
Yeah, what do you fear? Do you fear? Have we seen one power overwhelming? I think that was from the Peddler, right?
It was a Mortal Coil from a Peddler, and I think it was a power overwhelming from a Peddler as well.
Yeah, and if he has double power overwhelming Doomguard, he'd be taken out. But that's a very unlikely scenario, and I do like Thorson coming down. You get some value, and
wow, even a Soulfire here. I actually really like this play. He's got 2 Big Game Hunters in his hand that he's not afraid to discard. Imp King Boss, not really that big a deal right now. Gets the Emperor Thorson value. I mean, Trump's really on a back foot all of a sudden.
So what's his play here? Sea Giant runs into a Big Game Hunter. He knows his 2 copies. If a Big Game Hunter hits this Sea Giant, things are going to be in Kolento's face. It's going to be really hard for him to rebuild the board because Kolento will have minions then to fight his minions. And, these Zoo decks don't pack Hellfires. They don't pack Shadow Flames. There's no AoE removal. Oh, this feels so bad for...
Disaster for Trump has struck. The first Big Game Hunter has made its way into Sea Giant, and then 7 points of damage afterwards. I think this game might have just slipped away.
Yeah, and what's even worse for Trump is he may feel... If he feels a Mal'Ganis is the only way he's going to stabilize after seeing a 1 Big Game Hunter, there's a second one sitting there, but it doesn't look like Kolento even cares now. He's like, I'm just going to throw all these cards down, and I'm going to...
threatening lethal.
Yeah, he's threatening lethal right now, and Mal'Ganis might be one of the only ways he can answer this. Oh, man. Kolento, I like this aggressive stance from him. Yeah, I know he has the Mal'Ganis in hand, and Big Game Hunter would have been great for it, but just threatening lethal, just saying you need answers to all this, and I know you don't have AoE.
Yeah, I mean, Kolento's just done a fantastic job of turning this game around. I mean, that one turn 7, where Trump's turn was extremely slow, that was the difference in this game. I mean, Trump, he needed something on that turn. Instead, just had a bunch of situational stuff. Feared discarding too much to the Doomguard. In hindsight, maybe that Doomguard was his best opportunity to try to win this game, but
I guess we'll never know, unfortunately. I mean, Doomguard would have kept initiative, but Trump felt, like you said, he felt like the resources he had, like the Argus and Mal'Ganis, were too valuable at that point. But I would have liked to have seen the initiative taken by him at that point. He was nothing on board to contest it. Either he just have that 5/7 to run in, he'd have to have more spells to answer it. 7 health is great. And Mal'Ganis is going to be the only way he can stabilize here. 2 Big Game Hunters are gone. They're on the field. But, he has minions that can easily deal with this. And one spell, Malagos will be able to finish off.
Yep. Zombie Chan won't finish it off, but I can tell you what, Anti-Keelbot backing up this life total, this game is all Kolento.
What's he going to tap for? Oh, and a Drake as well.
I mean, Trump just needs a miracle at this point.
He just plays the chow. He's just like, I don't care.
Now, if his next card is Deathwing, Trump isn't in that bad a shape.
We've only seen a Sea Giant. He's surprised us so far. Let's see if there's going to be a Deathwing. Oh, no Deathwing.
Yeah, not even the potential. He's got 13 maximum with the Doomguard this turn. So, I mean, it looks like it's locked up. I mean, Bubots cannot hit everything for 4.
Trump's lineup was designed to punish these style of decks, but unfortunately, he didn't. He got to the point where these decks do take control of the game, and Kolento with some good plays, and Trump with some passive plays, it allowed Kolento to cease control of this match, and it looks like he's going to take it 3-1 and be going back to the StarLadder LAN finals in January.
Yeah, but he's going to try to do his best. Looks like he wants to taunt up this Steamguard and hope for the best of it.
I guess a heal as well, but Kolento's just in such a good spot now. You can just tap, play Malygos. It's rough. Oh, Blackwing Corruptor, that's nice.
Blackwing Corruptor looks like it's going to be it's enough damage to end this game. Kolento takes a 3-1 victory, one dead turn from Trump, like you said, allowed